there's this this moment. It's really hard to put into words, actually.
Yeah.
But, if you've been away, really away, maybe on a deep dive yourself or just separated, you know it instantly.
Mm-hmm.
You come back, you walk into your own house, and everything looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
The mail pile, the way the light hits the counter.
Right. Familiar.
Totally familiar.
Yeah.
But nothing feels right.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, the world outside is playing an old song, but you've been completely retuned somehow.
That sense of dislocation, it's physical, isn't it? You feel it in your body.
Yeah.
It's more than just, getting back on schedule or dealing with jet lag. It's like your internal map.
Yeah.
It just doesn't match the landscape of your life anymore.
That's such a good way to put it, an internal map mismatch.
And that dissonance you're describing, that feeling of being off.
Yeah.
It's so strong because your whole system, your organism, is actually operating from a new place, a newly discovered truth, perhaps.
Exactly. I find myself just going through the motions. Like I start making coffee the same old way, and then my hand just stops midair.
You notice it.
I notice it, and I look at the routine, and it's like watching, watching a recording of someone else's life. It feels like I'm wearing someone else's skin.
Yeah.
Just a little too tight, or hangs wrong around the shoulders.
Yeah.
I unpack my bags, the dirty clothes, the little souvenirs. But the real thing I brought back, it wasn't in the suitcase.
No, it's internal.
It's internal.
Yeah.
It's in my chest somehow.
Yeah.
In my breath. Like, I noticed I can sit in silence now, and it feels full, holding. Not scary, not something I have to feel immediately. That's new.
What you're naming there, that deep sense of things not quite lining up, from a Gestalt perspective, we see that not just as a small adjustment period, it's more like a deep internal rupture.
Rupture, that sounds intense.
Well, it signifies that you crossed a threshold, a really profound, maybe even existential threshold of self. The person who walked out the door to go on that journey isn't exactly the same person sitting here now. And the fundamental issue, the structural problem, is that you're now standing in a world, your home, your relationships, your job, that was all built for the you from before.
Built for the old map.
Exactly. So the work ahead, the really courageous work, it isn't about snapping back to normal. It can't be. It's the work of integration.
Integration.
Okay. And that's really what we want to dive into today, isn't it? Exploring that gap, that space between the person who left and the person who came back.
Mm-hmm.
How do we even begin to bring that bigger, maybe messier self back into this old world without just crushing it, shrinking it down to fit? How do we let that transformation actually take root? It has to start with awareness. Intense awareness. That's the bedrock of Gestalt work. We need to gently move away from just thinking about the story of it.
The highlight reel.
Right. And instead, focus really intensely on the here and now feeling, the sensation of the change as it lives in you right now. That's the only place integration can actually happen.
It's funny, when people ask, how was your trip? I find myself listing places, what I saw, what I ate, the funny travel stories.
There's external stuff.
Yeah. But the real shift, the transformation, I'm realizing now, it wasn't about where I was. It was more about what wasn't there, the absence of things.
Yes, that's a really critical insight. It often isn't the destination itself that changes us most profoundly. It's the space. The space created because your usual context was gone. Yeah. Your history wasn't following you around in the same way. Your roles, the labels you wear in daily life, they were absent. The expectations people have of you, gone.
Okay.
And in that sort of vacuum, when the familiar landscape just disappears, you enter this field of pure, unstructured contact.
Contact with what, though?
Primarily contact with yourself, unmediated, without the usual filters. You weren't the reliable friend in that moment or the efficient employee or the parent. You were just you, an organism sensing the world, responding to what was right there in front of you. Just being, existing purely in the present tense. Think about those moments from your time away that really stand out now. Was it maybe realizing you hadn't even thought about your work email for like 8 hours straight?
Oh, definitely. That was huge. Or just walking with no goal, no agenda, and noticing my own thoughts weren't constantly judging or planning. The internal noise just quieted down.
That quiet. That wasn't just mental rest, though it felt restful, I'm sure.
More than restful. It was profound.
Because that quiet likely meant your system was actually completing things. Cycles of thought, maybe, or cycles of worry, cycles of feeling obligated. things that usually get stuck on a loop back home.
Completing cycles, okay.
In Gestalt, we have this idea that the self isn't some fixed, solid thing you carry around. The self, who you are in any given moment, actually emerges in contact, especially in contact with the unknown, the unfamiliar.
So when I took away the usual predictable environment,
Exactly. When you removed that highly structured, maybe even rigid context, a different aspect of you, what we might call the new figure, started to emerge. It came forward from the ground of your everyday life.
and this new figure that showed up in that space,
Yeah.
wow, it was definitely messier, more alive maybe.
Messier often means more alive, doesn't it?
Yeah. It was the part of me that felt things really strongly, like inconveniently strong joy or sadness that felt huge. The part that could actually say no to something without feeling like I needed to write a 5-page essay explaining why.
Mm-hmm. Giving yourself permission.
Yeah. Or the part that, maybe danced really badly in a public square somewhere and just laughed about it. It felt vibrant, raw, feeling everything without apologizing for it.
And that figure, that emerging self, was energized, wasn't it? Vitalized by the freedom of that space. It likely became the most important thing in your awareness then, the most dominant feeling or need. It was demanding to be felt, to be lived.
Yes, absolutely. But that's where the tension comes in now, back home.
Right.
It feels agonizing sometimes because I'm here and the world, my partner, my job, my family, they're all still relating to and kind of expecting the old figure.
The predictable one.
The predictable, contained, reliable one. And I feel this enormous, unspoken pressure to just fold myself back up, to fit back into the shape they know, the shape that makes their world function smoothly.
And you try to squeeze that expansive, vital new figure back into the old, maybe now too small container.
Yeah.
And that is the absolute core of the disorientation you're feeling. Let's just clarify those terms a bit, figure and ground, because they're so central here.
Okay.
The figure is simply whatever stands out most strongly in your awareness right now. It could be a need, a feeling, a desire, an idea. It's what grabs your attention. The ground is everything else. The background, the context, the environment, the stable backdrop against which that figure emerges.
So for years, the old me, the reliable me, was the main figure everyone interacted with. But now this new me, the one that feels more real, that's the figure demanding my attention internally.
Yeah.
But my apartment, my job, my relationships, they're all still the old ground.
You've got it. Precisely. Your emergent self, the one that tasted that freedom, is the new figure. But the ground, the familiar routines, the established ways of relating, the expectations, it hasn't caught up. It hasn't shifted yet.
Right.
And this fundamental mismatch, this lag, it creates that profound sense you described of feeling like a ghost in your own life. You're sitting at your own kitchen table, maybe hearing yourself talk, and the voice sounds distant, rehearsed, disconnected from the alive, present experience you touched when you were away.
Oh God, yes. And there's this quiet grief that comes with it. It's not just, oh, the trip's over, back to reality. It's deeper. It's like something new was definitely born in me, something important, but nobody here saw it happen. Nobody here really knows her.
That unseen part's.
Yeah. And then there's this awful feeling, this unspoken command to just put her back, tuck that vibrant, expanded self away neatly, put it back in the womb almost, until the next time I can escape.
Let's just pause on that feeling of sorrow for a moment. Don't rush past it, because that grief, it holds vital energy. It's important information.
Okay.
That sorrow is often the very first flicker of awareness telling you that the old life, as it stands, might not be able to contain the new self, not fully. But here's the tricky part, the challenge. If you keep trying to force that new figure back into the old ground, that's when you start the process of internal fragmentation. You move away from the flow, the aliveness of contact, and into the rigidity of self-interruption.
The performance. Performing fine. It's exhausting. I find myself laughing at jokes I don't get or nodding along to plans I have zero energy for. And the hardest bit isn't even the pressure from outside, from other people. It's the pressure from inside. It's me demanding the old me back. But hang on, isn't some of this discomfort just, well, responsibility, being an adult? How do I know I'm not just using fancy terms like figure ground to kind of rationalize wanting to avoid the hard stuff, the real work, the tough choices?
That's a really important question, a necessary challenge to bring in. And the difference, I think, between healthy responsibility and an internal block, like what we call interruption in Gestalt, often lies in whether you allow the full experience, the full sensation, to actually reach awareness and completion.
Okay.
Responsibility, at its healthiest, is really about the ability to respond. Responsibility, it comes from being present to what's actually happening. Interruption, on the other hand, is more like an inability to respond authentically because you shut yourself down before the impulse, the feeling, the need even fully forms or gets expressed. You stop the self before the action emerges.
Can you walk me through how that works? Because honestly, it feels instantaneous sometimes. Like zap, shut down.
It often does feel instantaneous because it's usually a deeply ingrained habit, but we can slow it down. Think about the natural rhythm of how we meet our needs, how we feel alive. We call it the Gestalt cycle, or sometimes the cycle of experience or aliveness. It has stages, roughly like this.
Okay.
First, there's sensation, something arises. A feeling in your body, restlessness, maybe hunger, boredom, tightness. Then, awareness. You notice the sensation and you recognize it. Maybe name it. Oh, I feel really tense right now. Or, I feel a pull to be alone.
Okay, awareness.
Next comes mobilization. Energy starts to gather, to move towards satisfying whatever that need or feeling is. You might physically tense up slightly, maybe shift your posture, maybe you start formulating words in your head. There's a readiness.
Energy building.
Exactly. Then, action. This is the actual behavioral step you take to meet the need. You might say something, get up and move, reach out, withdraw. You do something.
The doing part.
Right. Following that is contact. Your organism fully engages with the environment or with yourself in a way that addresses the need. You eat the food, you speak your truth, you take the space.
Making contact.
Then, ideally, comes satisfaction. The need is met, the tension releases. That particular figure, that need, recedes back into the ground. It's complete for now.
Feels good.
And finally, withdrawal. You return to a more neutral state, resting in the ground until the next sensation, the next need, arises and starts a new cycle.
Okay, I see the cycle. So where does interruption fit in?
Interruption usually slams the brakes on somewhere between mobilization and action.
Before the doing.
Yes. The energy is building, the true thought or feeling is rising. I really need to say no to this party, and then bam. The internal judge, the inner critic steps in immediately.
Don't be ridiculous.
Exactly. Don't be ridiculous, you have to go. Stop being selfish. It was just a fleeting feeling, ignore it. And you effectively swallow the words. You swallow the truth that was right there, rising in your throat.
Wow. I absolutely recognize that shutdown, that internal alarm bell. Danger. Speaking that truth will upset things. It's not safe. It's incredible how automatic it is, like a survival reflex honed over years and years.
It often was a survival reflex, learned early on.
You sense the impulse, maybe to ask for quiet or to disagree, and instead you fill the space with noise, or you nod and agree.
And that interruption, that quick shutdown, it breaks the cycle, it leaves it unfinished. But here's the crucial part. That energy, the mobilized energy that didn't get expressed, it doesn't just vanish into thin air.
Where does it go?
It gets stored, often as physical tension. Rigidity in the body, maybe chronic muscle tightness, sometimes even manifesting as anxiety or feeling stuck. You've prevented the cycle from completing, leaving behind what we call unfinished business or unfinished intention. Gestalt's these pockets of unresolved energy demanding attention.
So if that energy is trapped, we must be holding it physically, somewhere in our bodies.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why paying attention to the body is so central in Gestalt. We can feel this interruption most clearly if we just slow down right now. If you bring your awareness into your body, right here in this chair, in this conversation, not thinking about the trip, just noticing the now. Where do you feel tension? Where is it living in you?
Okay. If I really tune in.
Yeah.
It's in my throat again. Like a slight tightness, like there are words just sitting there, waiting. And my shoulders, definitely pulled up, like I'm bracing for something, even though I'm perfectly safe here.
That tightness in the throat, the braced shoulders, that is the somatic signature of interruption. It's your body physically holding the memory of those choices. The choices where perhaps unconsciously you opted for perceived safety or keeping the peace over speaking your uncomfortable relational truth. The body holds the echo of every time you cut yourself off, every feeling you dismissed as inconvenient, the body doesn't lie. It's like an archive of all that unfinished business. And that's why focusing on physical awareness is so powerful, because the body is always here and now. The moment you notice the tension, you're back in the present. And in the present, you have a chance to make a new choice, a conscious choice, instead of just repeating the old pattern automatically.
Okay, interruption. Then there's the other block you mentioned, avoidance. This feels quieter,
Mm-hmm.
sneakier, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It looks less like slamming on the brakes and more like quietly steering away from the whole road. It often looks like just being responsible or keeping busy.
Yes, avoidance can be very subtle.
Like I avoid really letting myself feel the full depth of the grief about the trip ending or the restlessness I feel now. Because if I actually let myself feel how big this change inside me is, I know I'd have to do something significant about it.
What kind of something?
I don't know. Set a major boundary. Rethink my career path.
Mm-hmm.
Have a really difficult, life-altering conversation with someone I care about.
Mm-hmm.
It feels huge, overwhelming. So it feels easier to just not go there, not feel it fully.
Avoidance often operates a bit earlier in the cycle than interruption. It might kick in even before full awareness develops, or it prevents genuine contact. It's the mechanism that keeps the new figure, the uncomfortable truth, from fully emerging into the light in the first place.
So you kind of preemptively shut down the whole process.
You might avoid naming the change, because if you name it, you might feel obligated to defend it or explain it. You avoid setting that new boundary because you anticipate the discomfort it might cause someone else, and you choose their potential discomfort over your own actual need. Instead of engaging with the feeling directly, you distract yourself, maybe throw yourself into work, clean the house obsessively, numb out with TV.
Or plan the next trip.
Or plan the next trip, exactly. Using the future escape to avoid the present reality.
I feel this terrible sense of loyalty to the old ways, the old structures, even the ones that feel like they're suffocating me now. I find myself compressing myself, folding myself back into the shape that fits that old world, because I'm afraid that if I abandon those structures, I'll somehow abandon the people I love who are part of them.
And that feeling, that fear, it leads us right to what might be the core Gestalt wound for someone returning transformed. The real wound isn't the change itself. It isn't even the sadness of the trip being over. The deepest wound is often the abandonment of the changed self.
Abandoning myself.
Yes, you met this more alive, more present, perhaps more truthful version of yourself out there in that space, and then coming back, driven by fear, by loyalty to the old ways, by a desire not to rock the boat. You essentially left that part of yourself behind. You put the old tight skin back on, hoping maybe that vibrant part wouldn't notice or wouldn't mind too much.
Oof, that lands.
Those old structures you feel loyal to, they might have kept you safe once, but if they no longer fit, they aren't keeping you safe anymore. They are actively keeping you small. They are keeping you stuck in these incomplete, unsatisfying cycles. The true loyalty, the necessary loyalty now, has to be to the self you discovered, to the aliveness you tasted. So when you're carrying this level of internal conflict, constantly interrupting your own truth, avoiding your deepest needs, all that trapped energy, that unfinished business, it has to go somewhere. It doesn't just sit quietly.
It builds up.
It builds up, and it almost invariably leaks out. It gets externalized. And one of the most common ways it leaks out is through projection.
Projection. Okay, I think I know what you mean, but
yeah.
Unpack that a bit.
Projection is essentially when we take parts of ourselves, feelings, needs, judgments, desires that we haven't owned or integrated, and we unconsciously attribute them to other people or to the environment around us. We see our stuff out there instead of in here.
Oh boy, yeah. I have absolutely been doing this since I got back.
Oh, so?
Well, I find myself blaming my partner for being too boring or too stuck in a routine or getting really irritated with friends because they just don't get it. They don't understand how much I've changed.
Mm-hmm.
But hearing you talk, I'm realizing I'm the one feeling restless. I'm the one feeling stuck in the old routine. And instead of owning that restlessness, owning that feeling of being unseen as my internal experience, my current figure, I'm putting it onto them, making them the problem.
Exactly. That restlessness is yours to hold. It's yours to get curious about, yours to immigrate into your life now. The feeling of being unseen might be a profound invitation to stop waiting for others to validate the change, and to start by truly seeing yourself first.
Wow.
The projection acts like a defense mechanism. It lets off some steam, maybe, but it keeps you from taking responsibility for your own internal state. You end up waiting for the world, your partner, your friends, to magically give you back the freedom or the understanding that you actually tasted and cultivated within yourself when you were away.
It's definitely easier to blame the routine than to admit that I haven't fought hard enough to protect the pockets of quiet or freedom that I found. It's easier to project the need for freedom out there onto the next vacation, the next escape plan, rather than figuring out how to cultivate it in here, right now, in this life.
And that shift, the pivot from blaming the external world to taking responsibility for your own experience, for your own contact with reality as it is, That's the absolute turning point for growth. It's moving from feeling like a victim of circumstance to becoming an active participant in creating your life.
Okay, but it feels, honestly,
Ah.
it feels terrifying. Because once I really own it, own the restlessness, own the feeling that the old structures genuinely don't fit anymore, then I have to choose.
Yes, choice becomes possible
Yeah.
and necessary.
I have to decide which of the old shoulds I'm going to gently, or maybe not so gently, set down. Which boundaries are non-negotiable now? Which truths do I actually need to speak out loud, even if my voice shakes while I'm saying them? Even if it means genuinely disappointing someone I care about. That's the really hard part.
That is the hard part, and that takes immense courage. That's the courage that integration demands. It's shifting the definition of responsibility away from responsibility for making sure everyone else is comfortable, and towards responsibility for your own authentic experience, for your own aliveness.
Responsibility for my own aliveness.
Yes. And to do that, to reclaim the self that maybe got left behind on that trail or that beach, we have to move towards the unfinished Gestalt. We have to address that part of you that's still waiting.
The part of me still suspended back there. The part that felt everything so intensely. How do I bring that home? It's not like packing a souvenir.
No, it's not a physical object. That suspended self, that part that felt so alive, isn't waiting for you to physically go back. It's waiting for you to meet it relationally. Right here, right now.
Relationally. With myself.
Yes. Integration isn't about jamming the new self into the old life like a puzzle piece that doesn't fit. It's about allowing the awareness of that new self to consciously and probably slowly begin to reshape the old life from the inside out. And that starts with a conscious, gentle act of meeting and reclaiming that part of you that got paused or left behind.
It sounds like having a conversation with myself. Is that too weird?
Not at all. It's a deliberate, internal, relational meeting. Can you, right now, turn your awareness inward towards that figure, that part of you discovered when you were away? The one that felt more vibrant, maybe more vulnerable.
Okay. I can try. Yeah.
And can you meet her? Here, now, in this room, in this moment. Maybe find the words you swallowed when you first came back. Perhaps something like, I see you.
Okay, I see you.
I felt you back there. I really felt your aliveness.
I felt you. I left you there. I didn't know how to bring you home. I was scared.
I was scared, yeah. Scared of the judgment, maybe? Scared of how complicated it would make things? Acknowledge that fear. I left you there out of fear because I didn't know how to make space for you back here.
That feels incredibly tender and sad, actually. It's recognizing I abandoned a part of myself.
Yeah.
Not just that I changed, but that I left part of the change behind.
Exactly. And acknowledging that abandonment is key. You likely left that part behind not out of malice, not because you didn't value it, but out of those deeply conditioned protective fears. But now, perhaps you're tired of leaving yourself behind.
Yeah, I really am.
So integration becomes this ongoing daily process. It's about continuing that internal conversation, asking that reclaimed self regularly. Okay, what rhythm do we need today? What boundary feels essential right now to protect our aliveness? What's the most pressing sensation, the most important figure in our awareness right now? It's about choosing contact over interruption, choosing awareness over avoidance, moment by moment by moment.
So the goal isn't necessarily to eliminate the conflict, the tension between the new me and the old world.
Not at all. The goal isn't a conflict-free life. That's probably impossible, and maybe not even desirable.
Really?
The tension itself is often a sign of life. It's a sign of growth happening, of things being renegotiated. If you felt absolutely nothing upon returning, that would be the real crisis, suggesting maybe nothing shifted. The tension is, it's the negotiation table. It's where the new figure and the old ground are slowly, sometimes awkwardly, learning how to coexist and maybe even reshape each other. And when we talk about completing the Gestalt, completing the cycle, it's important to understand we're not talking about reaching some final static endpoint, not a tidy conclusion where everything is fixed and integrated forever.
Okay, so completion isn't done.
No. In this context, completion is contact fully made. It's the sensation being fully felt all the way through. It's the truth being fully spoken, or at least fully acknowledged internally. It's the energy of that need or feeling being allowed to move all the way through the cycle to satisfaction or release.
So, like allowing the grief about the trip ending to actually be felt so it can move through and release its hold.
Exactly. Or allowing the joy of a new insight to be fully savored and honored so you know what's real and valuable for you now. It's about letting the energy flow, not damming it up.
Okay, so if the answer isn't, selling everything and buying a one-way ticket back to wherever I was.
Although sometimes that might be part of it for some people, but usually no.
Usually no. Then the real work, the integration, has to happen in the everyday, in the small, maybe even mundane moments.
Right. So for someone listening who feels this resonance, what does that actually look like on a regular Tuesday morning when the reality of the old life, the old ground, is pressing in hard?
It looks like consciously choosing a new action, however small, over the old habitual interruption or avoidance. Let's maybe focus on 3 concrete, immediate things someone could experiment with, small acts to start integrating that new figure.
Okay, small acts. I like that. First, the one breath pause. This is tiny but powerful. When you feel that familiar pressure, the pressure to immediately agree, to instantly reply, to commit to something before you've checked in, you just stop. Before the words come out of your mouth, you stop. And you take one full conscious breath.
Just one breath.
Just one breath. And in that breath, you try to feel the actual sensation in your body, what's really here. That tiny pause creates just enough space to notice the potential interruption before it happens. It allows the real sensation, maybe the need for space, the flicker of no, to move from just a vague feeling towards clearer awareness, maybe even towards mobilization, instead of getting instantly squashed. The brave action here isn't the eventual response. The brave action is the pause itself.
The pause is the action.
Okay, what's second?
Second, naming the need, not the excuse. This is about language. Instead of the usual softening the justifications like, oh, is it okay if I maybe can't make it tonight? I'm just so exhausted and work was crazy, and which often comes across as an apology for existing.
Guilty as charged. We all do it. Instead, practice stating the need more directly, more simply. Something like, I need some quiet evening space for myself tonight. Or, I need to protect my energy this week.
Ooh, that feels bold, almost blunt.
It can feel bold because we're so conditioned to apologize for our needs, but notice it's not aggressive. It's just a clear statement of your internal reality. You're honoring the rhythm, the need for space or quiet that you discovered was vital for you on the road. You're doing it even if you worry someone else might label it selfish, because you know it's necessary self-preservation now. It's owning your needs without making excuses for them.
Naming the need. Okay, and third.
Third, changing the ground by degrees. You don't have to renovate your whole life overnight. Start small. Consciously change one tiny piece of the environment or routine to better support the new figure. I remember one person describing how they couldn't stop grabbing their phone the second they walked in the door, instantly losing that sense of calm they'd found.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Their small act was creating a 5-minute no-phone zone right when they got home. Just 5 minutes in the kitchen, making tea, breathing without the phone. They were deliberately carving out 5 minutes of that transformative space they missed, right in the middle of the old ground.
Tiny pockets of the new reality.
Exactly. Choose to take the slightly longer, slower walk home from the bus stop just to feel the air for 5 extra minutes. Change one morning ritual to include silence instead of news. These small adjustments begin to reshape the ground little by little, making it more hospitable for the self that returned.
So it's really about shifting the feeling of freedom or quiet or presence, moving it from being just a memory tied to a specific place, like freedom I had there, to making it a concrete, repeatable action I can choose here, in the present.
Beautifully put, yes.
It's about stopping the automatic apologies for needing what I need and starting to practice being, well, real, even in small ways.
And here's the thing that often happens, kind of like a quiet miracle, a natural relational shift. When you consistently stop abandoning yourself in these small ways, when you start honoring your own needs and boundaries more clearly, the environment around you often does begin to adjust.
Really?
Often, yes. Not instantly, not perfectly. There might be pushback sometimes. But slowly, the projections start to dissolve because you're owning your own stuff. You're no longer unconsciously asking the world to give you the freedom or validation you aren't giving yourself. Your partner, maybe noticing the shift in you, might actually start asking, hey, what do you need? Because you're finally modeling how to state it clearly.
Because I'm stating it to myself first.
Exactly. Your work might feel a tiny bit less suffocating because you've stopped suffocating yourself by constantly interrupting your own natural flow, your own need for breaks or different pacing.
So it's moving from waiting for the world to change, to make space for me, to just be in the space myself, fiercely protecting that inner awareness, that inner quiet I found.
Yes, fiercely and maybe also gently. And we really have to emphasize this whole journey, this integration process. It's not about arriving at some destination called happily ever after. That's a fairy tale.
Right.
This is more like alive ever after, which is inherently messy. It's tender, it's real, it involves discomfort. It's a perpetually unfinished process of growth and becoming.
Live ever after. I like that.
And the discomfort you feel right now, that tension between the old and the new, it is not a sign that you did something wrong by going away or by changing or by coming back. That tension is actually a sign that you did something profoundly right.
How so?
You allowed yourself to be changed by life, by experience. You opened up, and now your organism, your whole self, is simply asking you, prompting you to catch up, to align your outer life more closely with the inner truth you discovered, to honor the change.
So the journey doesn't actually end when the plane lands or the car pulls into the driveway. It just shifts. It roots.
Exactly. It transforms from being primarily about external exploration to being about internal anchoring. The focus moves from, how can I escape this feeling again, to, okay, what parts of who I became out there are essential? What must I keep, protect, and cultivate right here, right now in this life?
You're not broken because you came back different.
You are exquisitely alive. And in process, you're learning breath by breath, choice by conscious choice, how to belong more fully to yourself. And that inward journey, that commitment to meeting yourself, that's arguably the greatest journey there is. Because it's the only one that truly requires the courage to remain unfinished, always becoming. #tag outro.
Wow. Okay. So pulling this all together, the core message really feels clear. The task isn't to force ourselves back into an old shape, an old life that just doesn't fit anymore, that doesn't hold the truth of who we are now.
No. That way it leads to fragmentation.
Right. The task is instead to keep choosing contact with ourselves, with our real feelings, with the present moment over the old habits of interruption and avoidance. Breath by breath, choice by choice. Maybe the advice is, don't rush back to normal, whatever that even means anymore. Sit with the discomfort for a bit. Let yourself mourn what might have been lost or what needs to be let go of. Celebrate what emerged. And then begin slowly, courageously, to build or adjust a life that actually fits the more vibrant, maybe more complex person you are today.
And one more thought. If you feel that pull again, that urge to wander, to leave, to find that space, don't automatically pathologize it. Don't just dismiss it as escapism.
Right.
Listen to it. Get curious about that restless urge. Sometimes, yes, it might be avoidance, but often it's your organism signaling again, signaling perhaps a stalled cycle, a need that isn't being met, a part of you asking for more space to breathe, to expand, to meet itself anew. It could be a sign of a new gestalt wanting to emerge. It's often a signal of profound aliveness, of untapped potential stirring.
So listen to the restlessness as information too.
As vital information. Welcome home. Truly welcome home, not just to the house or the town you left, but welcome home to the self you found, the self you are now.
That self deserves to be lived.
It deserves to be lived. Fiercely, gently. Starting now. The real integration work, that's the ongoing adventure. It doesn't end.
Thank you. This has been incredibly insightful.
Perhaps the final thought is this. If someone asks you, so how's your trip? Maybe, just maybe, instead of listing the sights, you could try saying something else.
Like what?
Like, I left one person behind when I went, and honestly, I haven't finished meeting the one who came back yet, because that next trip, the most important one, it isn't out there somewhere else, it's right here, always inside you, always waiting for you to begin the journey home to yourself, again and again.